Hello. Welcome to the Pivotability Show. We have another episode today. Today we have Kayla Givens. She's my realtor. She actually helped me get my first investment property, and it was a wonderful experience. I had so much fun. But more than that, she has a pretty cool story. And so I invited her on to come and share it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
All right. So we spoke about your college day, like starting your story at your college days. So you played volleyball in college. Tell us
Mhm.
about that experience.
Yeah, so I played pretty competitive volleyball in high school and didn't really know that college was a thing that I could go do until maybe like my sophomore year. Started getting recruited and ended up going to University of Wyoming my freshman year. Had a decent season, hurt my ankle at the end of the season. And the coach that recruited me got fired because he sucked, to be honest. So
Okay.
started with that. Um,
How long
and
were you out with your ankle?
my
Like,
ankle, I think like a few weeks. I don't really remember. But it
okay.
was like a pretty bad sprain. So I was off of it for like a week or two and then had to rehab and do all of that fun stuff. But then right as that happened, our season was ending and we were going into winter break. So I went home. And
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah,
So it didn't like stop you from playing because you were already like conveniently not in a playing
yeah.
season.
I think it was
Okay.
like our last game or second to last game or something like that. So super
Okay.
end of the season. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
so played there and then went home for that winter break. And I don't remember the details if I did the rehab or not. Probably not. I think I just kind of like hung out, didn't really exercise as much as I should have. Came back, we got a new coach and she was not a huge fan of mine and I wasn't a huge fan of hers, to be honest.
Mhm.
Didn't like that I cussed. I was pretty out of shape from the winter break and having come off of an injury with my ankle.
Mhm.
So at the very go through all of spring season, do all of that. Didn't do great. And on the last day of my second semester, freshman year, she sat me down in her office and said, well, we're taking your scholarship, and I think you should go play for a community college. That's how much you suck. You're fat, you're slow, you have a 12-inch vertical, which wasn't true. I did not have a 12-inch vertical. And what I'll also say
And
is
that's like how high you can jump, right?
what's that?
Is a 12-inch vertical how high you can jump?
Yeah, so like based on your reach, like how high you can reach and what you're touching,
Okay.
like do like a jump
And
test.
what was your vertical? Because I'm pretty sure mine is like 3 inches. So
Mine
what was your vertical?
was too. I think it was like 18 or 19 inches. So
Oh
not even
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
really amazing, but not like a foot. That would be pretty pathetic, I think. Uh,
Okay.
so
Thanks.
yeah, for an athlete, for a collegiate athlete. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I don't know how high my jump is, but I remember in middle school, one of the kids, he was like, "What's your vert?" And I was like, "I don't know what that means." And he's like,
yeah,
"How high can you jump?" And he was like, "I could jump like I don't know how many." And I was like, "I don't know, maybe I could do that." And then I jumped, and it was so embarrassing because it was so close to the ground that like I'm like traumatized by the word vert now because I'm like I don't have one. Like
I get it.
I don't come off the
I don't
ground.
either. I'm right there with you. These are the glory days back in the day. But yeah, so she kind of left me in a pickle because all of the recruiting for the following year had basically been done. So she suggested a community college in Wyoming. And am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Okay, I was basically like, fuck you. I'm not going to community college in Wyoming. And if I'm going to community college,
You're
I'm
like,
not
you know what? You hate me cursing? Fuck you.
literally fuck you. She hugged me right after she said all these horrible things about me. And I was just like, what? What are you, what? Don't touch me. I don't want to be touched. But I was very upset. So I was just like, okay, she's hugging me. Anyways. And so after that, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I went back to my high school club, which was called Juggernaut. And I was super close with my coach there. And he kind of gave me, he's like, well, you kind of got out of shape, but like you're still a good volleyball player. So we're going to get you in shape and we're going to find somewhere for you to go. So he was from Buffalo, New York. And oddly enough, I had several teammates from high school that ended up at University of Buffalo in New York. And so he was connected with the coach there. They had a scholarship open up, and I went out there for a visit. I went and played with the girls. They watched me, which is like super illegal. I don't know what the rules are now, but they were like, "Oh, you guys go play volleyball, and we'll just like stand in the corner far away," um, and gave me a scholarship, and I was able to transfer for the following year, so that fall.
That's so great. Connections are key, and I think that's something that I'm like barely learning. I think in this period of my life, before I was just like, oh, I know people, but like
Yeah,
connections are very
yeah.
valuable. So you had how long to get in shape so that this could happen?
So May was when I was done at Wyoming. And I had been doing spring training and all of that too. It wasn't like I was completely like 0% in shape. I was still in pretty good shape for, normal standards,
Hmm.
but for, I guess, athlete standards, like not that great. So I went May, June, July, August is when I went. So a couple months, like 3 months.
Okay, okay, that's good. So you must have trained pretty hard for those 3 months too, and gotten back into shape. So you got this scholarship, and what did you major in, or did you like focus on sports mostly, and you were just there for academics on the side? What was your thing?
I didn't really focus on academics
Hmm.
in college. It was just like, okay, cool. I've got a scholarship. I get the paper at the end of my 4 years, and then that'll open up careers for me.
Yeah.
So I studied communication, which was like the athlete major.
Okay.
If you were serious about anything, I was like, cool, communication, I can do that.
Yeah.
I took some like writing classes, stuff like that.
Which I don't know. Has that been useful now that you have to like send out newsletters and everything to your client base, or
Yeah,
it was just a piece of
I think
paper?
communication, like writing, writing was always a strength of mine. So it just kind of like reinforced it and maybe helped. I can't think of a single class I took in college that I'm like, oh, that really helped
Extremely
shape my.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
So even with my daughter, like, if she doesn't want to go to college, I'm okay with that.
I took a class about like hedge fund investments because it was mandatory, part of my like math side of my program. It was absolute hell. And what
Yeah.
I gained from it was like being an investment banker is not for me. Like I was not on track to be one anyway, but yeah, I hear the word hedge and I'm like, I don't want to know anything about it.
Yeah.
I
Like
don't
the
want to
bush,
talk about
like the
it.
bushes outside.
I'm sorry.
Like the bushes outside, those hedges, I'm cool with. Hedge funds,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah, yeah. Don't talk to me about hedges. Okay, so I lost track of where we were going. So I got distracted. Go on.
So went to Buffalo, had a good season. My first season there. Same thing happened again. So I got recruited by these coaches, went there, transferred. They got fired the following year. So I was getting
All these
another new coach. Yeah, I had four college coaches, and I was in college for 4 years. So I had basically a new coach every single year,
oh my.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
But kind of faced a similar situation where I think I got injured at the end of the season. My ankles are pretty wobbly. So was dealing with that. We didn't have a coach this spring season, so figured that out. But we got a new coach. His name's Todd, and he was incredible for me. I loved him. I love coaches that are black and white. They're like, hey, you suck. You need to do better. Not the ones that are like, hey, you suck. Get the fuck out of here. Those
Mhm.
ones suck. So I had him, and he came along, and he was great. And almost had a similar situation where he sat me down after my junior year. So I had a similar situation with him where this new coach Todd came in. He was awesome, really pushed us. I was being so hard on myself mentally that I started to suck at volleyball. I was just not doing great. Like my skills were terrible. And I just didn't have a good season. And then I didn't have a great spring season either. So he sat me down in his office and he's like, if you weren't going to be a senior this coming year, I would probably kick you off this team. And I was like, oh my God, I'm
Not
here
again.
again.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And really what it was a result of the effort that I was putting in and the things I was telling myself, the mental things that were going, the things that were going through my brain that were making me bad at volleyball. Essentially, I was like, "You're not
Mhm.
good enough. You're not good enough. You suck. You suck. You suck." Just nonstop. So
What
that
do
really,
you know what brought this on? Like, was there a life event that made this happen, or something
no,
else?
I think any college athlete can probably relate to having had that experience at some point where you can't do anything right, and then you just keep being so hard on yourself. Like the positive reinforcement, at least when I played volleyball, it was not there very often. In high school and college, there wasn't a lot of, hey, that was great, good job. And I think I was also on teams where we suck so bad that it was just like there was so much work to do that you couldn't ever, there was never like a good job, like never like, oh, you did a good job today. It was like, oh, you suck, you guys really suck and you need to do better. So I think it was just that, along with feeling maybe inferior to some of my other teammates, just a lot. So long story short, we had that conversation, and then that summer one of my teammates and I just trained our asses off. Like we were so competitive with each other. We pushed each other. And my goal going into it, I was like, I'm going to maximize my potential as a volleyball player, as a human, these next few months. This is my last season playing. I was like, what do I have to lose? So really, really, really went after it that summer. And I remember the first like game or two that I had, or the first game that I played my senior season, I was being such a pussy. Like going up, like being super timid, not trying that, or not, I was definitely trying hard, but I wasn't like going for it, you know? And my coach came, he pulled me out of the game and he goes, if you don't step up, I'm going to sub you out and put in this other girl. And I was just like, instead of being like, oh my God, I was like, fuck that. Fuck you, Todd. Fuck that. I'm going to go up and I'm going to swing as hard as I can at every single set that I get. And that's what I did. And that's what I did the rest of the season. And I had a great season and it was amazing. So I stopped fucking myself
Yeah.
and just said, fuck it, and went for it and just had an awesome season. It was the best season of volleyball I've ever played.
Wow, I love that. Okay, so like that tough love is what helped you like kind of get to that point. I had a teacher who would tell me that I can't do things, and then it would like piss me off so bad that I would go do them. And then like I think towards the end of one of our years, because I was in a really small school, so I had the same teacher every year for several years. Um, Anyway, so towards the end of one of those years, she was like, "That's why I tell you you can't do things because it makes you so mad that you go do them and you do them really well." And I was like, "Oh, I hate that this works." Like, because I had like so much resentment for her. But she was right; it worked. It still works.
Yeah. 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 And I'm so grateful that we had that moment and then that I just had the fuck it moment. I was like, fucking stop being so scared and
Hmm.
just go play volleyball and go for it. And it was awesome. I had an awesome season.
What were you scared of?
Messing up.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and that same
Which-
fear was causing you to mess up, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And any athlete can tell you that what is it? The fear of losing versus like playing to not lose versus playing to win. It's totally different. It's a huge different. Oh my God, please edit this. It's a huge mindset shift.
Okay,
Playing not to lose, you're playing scared because you're like, oh my God, I could lose. If you're playing to win, you're saying, I'm going for it. Like I have to go for it. I'm going to win. And so having that shift in mindset was huge.
that's awesome. Yeah, I think I struggled with that. I'm not an athlete. Um in my senior year, I went to a college prep school and it was my first time in a long time at a bigger school. It wasn't a big school, but it was bigger because I used to go to school with like 15 to 20 people, and now my and that was in the whole school. And now my class size is about 50 people. So anyway, there were so many more opportunities and I could join more like extracurricular activities, etc. I joined the swim team because why not, right? So I did that, and I my first my like my tryout, it was just two girls on the team, me and another girl who was a swimmer, and then another guy that joined after like track was over. What am I trying to tell you? So I did my tryout, and the coach was like, "Okay, so that's not swimming." That's surviving. And I was like, oh, okay. And I had a lot of progress in that season. I went from that's not swimming to I can like go back and forth and like what is it, 50 yards or 50, I don't know. That's how much I know about sports, but like the go back and forth one.
Yeah.
And I could tell that I was getting faster and stronger, and I was like so excited and so motivated. We went on Thanksgiving break. I came back and I sucked. And from that moment forward, I was just terrible because I had fed myself this whole like, I can only progress, I can only get better. And then whenever I had that, like, you know, digression, I don't know what the word is, where like I became bad,
Regression.
became worse,
Yeah.
then like my head was just like, you're not a swimmer, you don't know how to do this. Like, at least you know
Mhm.
how to swim, like that, just kind of feeding myself all these negative things. And I never got to the point where I was before. So yeah, mindset is it will mess with you. It'll make or break you for sure.
Totally. Yeah. And I
So
think it's something that you learn over time. Like some people get it really quick. For me, it's a lesson I've had to learn several times. And I'm sure everybody learns that same lesson in different areas of their life. Um, but yeah, it's all about the self-talk, like what you're telling yourself.
definitely, yeah. So did you date throughout college, or did you start dating afterwards? What was your did you go get your MRS degree while you were there?
Almost. I dated in when I went to Buffalo, I started dating someone pretty quickly. I think after my first season there, we started dating like that following spring. And he was a great guy, super sweet, played football. We dated for I think 6 years and ended up engaged. We After we graduated, we moved back to Denver just because I don't know if you've ever been to Buffalo, but it was not a place I wanted to stay any longer.
No.
Um,
And
yeah, not
6 years is a
not my.
long time, though.
It is a long time. Yeah.
That's a long relationship. Was it that long, like before you guys got engaged because you were still in school? Like, were you waiting to?
I think, yeah, I didn't want to get engaged in school, which is so funny because a lot of girls that I played with at Wyoming got engaged either while they were still in college or got like immediately after they graduated. I was like, oh my gosh, this is wild to me. But yeah, so I think we got engaged. I had to have been like 22 or 23.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So like
yeah, things
right
were
around
good.
like right after graduating, basically.
Yeah, I think maybe like a year after graduating. But we got engaged and things were good. And then there were a couple of moments throughout our relationship, like looking back now, where the trust was broken. And it wasn't necessarily like someone had cheated or um, nothing like that bad, but it was like small things that he had withheld from me that I was like, okay, why are you lying about that? That
Mhm.
seems silly to me.
Yeah.
And then it happened like a couple times. I couldn't even tell you. I know one of them was like he hid for a year that he was chewing tobacco. And I was
Mm.
just like, you're a football player. I don't care. Like, as long as you're not kissing me when you have it in your mouth, like, it wasn't a big deal to me. But the fact that he hid it for so long, that was like kind of like an, oh, I didn't
You got
love that. And
trust.
then
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so I think I don't even remember what happened after that, but something similar to that happened. And our relationship just broke down and he wanted to go back to Buffalo. I had no interest in moving to Buffalo. So we broke up and he moved back and I moved to California and then moved to
Ooh.
Indiana 5 minutes
Ooh,
later.
where in California? What took you to California?
So it's kind of a joke in my family is every time I break up with somebody, I move back in with my parents.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, They were in California at the time. They had moved out there. My grandmother was ill, and so my parents moved out there to take care of her. And after she passed, they moved from Fresno up to Sacramento, which is where I moved. It was the Sacramento area. And I loved it. I loved California. I was like, oh my God, finally, I'm in California. This is amazing. I thought it was going to be sunny all the time, which it was for the most part. But I didn't realize that California has like a winter, basically. It snows now. It didn't snow while I was there, but it rained a lot, and it rained for like 4 months straight. And I was really depressed.
That sounds depressing. I don't know how people in like Washington, like the Pacific Northwest, I hear that it's really rainy over there. How do they stay jolly through the year?
I don't think you do. I think you move there if you're sad. You didn't want to stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was in
But
Sacramento or north of Sacramento, you said?
east of Sacramento. So I was in Roseville, and then while I was moved to Indiana briefly. This isn't even like just a quick little anecdote. Moved to Indiana briefly, got back together with my ex-fiance, boyfriend, whatever.
And it was
Um
long distance.
moved,
He was in Buffalo.
yeah, and
Okay.
then moved back to California because I was like, I'm gonna move back to California. We'll be together in like a few months, whatever. I just got to get some stuff straightened out. And we broke up after I moved back to California, like 2 months later. And I was just like,
What am I
this
doing?
isn't going to work. I'm
Yeah.
going to Buffalo. I'm in
Yeah.
California. Yeah.
I'm very
So,
experienced with the getting back together with an ex category. I'm breaking that
yeah.
cycle.
Yeah. That was like I've only had 3 like serious relationships, and that was the only one. Well, yeah, that was the only one that I went back to.
Okay.
Because I'm still in the 3rd one. The
Oh.
second one, I was like, there's no chance I'm going back to that.
So what led to that ending? I guess like just the trust was still broken and then like that just didn't work.
Yeah, I think us breaking up and then getting back together gave us time to see what we really wanted out of life. And he had changed some, I had definitely changed some. Um, and it kind of came back to that same reason that we broke up initially is this was like a last straw. And this isn't even a big thing, but it's just like one of those things that just keeps piling up. Is he had told me that he sent me a Valentine's Day gift or a Valentine's Day card or something like that. And a week or two had gone by and we were FaceTiming. I was like, yeah, I still haven't gotten your Valentine's Day card. And he goes, oh, that's because I never sent it. And I was like, okay. So you lied again about something so small. It just was stupid. And so that was just kind of like the nail in the coffin. I was like, I don't want this for my life. Like, it's just stupid little stuff that's going to keep piling up. And I want to feel like the person I'm with, I can trust,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's something as stupid as a Valentine's Day card. Like, you did
Yeah.
what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
So
that.
that was it. Yeah.
And so then it was like single
So,
life.
single life, but not for long. I got on the dating apps
How old were you at
shortly there.
this time?
What's that?
How old were you at this time?
I think 25.
Okay, mid 20s. Yeah, that's one of the that's like the I think in mid 20s is when you start to figure out which direction you want to start walking in, even if you don't know the end goal. Like I find that a lot of people in their 20s, that's where they're like, where am I going?
Yeah. 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 Pretty common. But so then I got on the dating apps and swiped right on this guy that I thought was so cute. And he was interested in me, and my self-esteem was like pretty low at that time. Because after college, I lost a lot of weight. And that was kind of like a thread throughout my volleyball career, is like I had gained and lost weight a couple times. And after that relationship ended, I was in a good spot with fitness. I was like working out a lot and feeling pretty good, but my self-esteem was like still pretty low. So ended up meeting up with this guy. We go on a date. We have a great time. And after that, we just started dating. Like, it was just like, oh, for me, I think my post-relationship mindset was like, I had this love. It was my first love, and I loved being loved. and here's this person that's interested in me. Maybe he could love me. He could be, I better make this work because I don't know if I'm ever going to find somebody to love me again. And so
Mhm.
that was kind of a huge driving factor for me to get into a relationship with this person so quickly.
Yeah.
And
Do you think there was like anything that could have told you that this was not like that it was too quick or something like that? Or do you think like the pace that you guys went at was appropriate for where you guys were at the time?
I think there were so many red flags that I just ignored because
Okay.
I don't know if like desperate is the right word. I think it was just sad and like lonely that
Mhm.
was kind of driving me to keep pushing with this relationship that I knew deep down was not, he wasn't the right person for me.
I remember right before I went to college, I went to college like late in my 20s. Or like it was my mid 20s. That's when I started going to a four-year university. Right before that, I met someone that like blew me away. And it was just a 3-month thing. And I was so blown away that I had to go to therapy for it because I was like, what just happened? You know, someone literally like swept the rug out from under me, and I'm like deeply in love with someone that I just met. And I think so, a conversation that I had with the therapist was like, I already had my first love in my teens. And then I never thought I would, you know, replicate that. And here is this other person who just outdid that by like 1,000%. I'm out of chances. I no longer have like I no longer will find that spark again. And I think what really helped me was he was like, you're a math person, right? So statistically speaking, you've already found two people that make you feel amazing by this age. I think I was like 24, maybe going on 25. He was like, based on that math alone, like you're bound to find at least another one before you know you're 30 or like in your early 30s. And then I was like, you know what, he's right. Statistically speaking, I have more like opportunities. But it was that same, I guess it was a similar sentiment of like, I'm never gonna find this again because like this is
Yeah.
already so wonderful. So I get that.
Yeah. 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 And like looking back, it's like so silly because, but you don't know in that moment. You're just so lonely and sad and you want something to work out so badly. At least I did that. I was just like, it's okay. We can make this work. It'll be fine. It's fine. I'm okay with this. So just kept going and yeah.
Now that you can look back at it, which one was like the first red flag you should have noticed and paid attention to?
So honestly, the on our first date, there was a red flag is I like I said, I was like very committed to my fitness and like being healthy at that point. Um and I had decided I was like I'm not going to drink or do drugs. I don't That's not what I want to do. And what did we do on our first date? We went out, we got some drinks, we went to a bar and I got drunk and I was just like this isn't what I want to do. But he was cute, he was into me, and I was like, it's okay, it's fine. I had fun. So that was like the first major red flag. And then that was a theme in our relationship too, is I didn't want to drink, I didn't want to do drugs, and he liked to smoke weed and some other stuff. But um that wasn't me. And he wanted me to drink with him so badly. He's like, why won't you have a beer with me? And I'm like, because I don't want one. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want one. Why do you want one? I don't understand. It's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
There is an
Looking
appropriate
back,
time for drinking.
yeah. Yeah. I was like, he had a problem. But it was also, it's like so culturally normal. It's like, how do you tell when somebody like has a problem or when they're just, you know, I mean, sometimes it's way more clear than others, but to me, I'm like, yeah, he was for sure an alcoholic.
Yeah, and I think it's also depending on like where you are at in life as the observer to like
Yeah,
see like some things are more permissible in some seasons of your life than they are in others. Like the things that I put up with in my 20s, I don't have time for right now. But that's because I'm
totally.
in a different season. I'm more mature. I have more experience. So
Yeah,
it happens. I think most girls can relate to I put up with the wrong amount of things for too long. How long did you guys
Yeah,
date?
we did it for 2 years.
Oh, oh
And
wow. So it was a
yeah,
long
throughout,
relationship too.
it's too long. Like I should have broken up like the first month, like the first date, honestly. But we moved in together like a probably within a year. I don't know how long, but we moved in together. And another red flag was this apartment that we moved into had a cockroach infestation.
What?
I found out about it and I was
What?
like, "Oh my god." Yeah, and he was like, "No, like we're moving in." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Why?" I was like, "There's cockroaches in this apartment that we're supposed to live in." So, long story short, I wasn't in the best financial position, so I didn't have a lot of say of like where we went. I wasn't making a ton of money at that point. So, I was like, "All right, I guess we're moving in." And that was like a huge source of contention for us because I was always uncomfortable. I was always terrified that a cockroach was going to crawl in my ear, like something crazy was going to happen. It was in our kitchen all the time. It was disgusting. So
Oh my gosh.
we had
I'm sorry.
cockroaches.
The things that we put up with. So where were you working? I think we haven't talked about that. After college, did you start
Yeah.
doing anything in communications or not?
No, so after college, when we moved back to Denver, I started working at a restaurant downtown called Panzano. And my dad had worked with the chef. He worked for US Foods, so got me connected there. And I was working as a hostess, making $14 an hour, crushing life, living downtown. Um, so yeah, that's what I did. And then when I moved to California, I found Lululemon, which was a great company and really had a huge impact on my leadership, not only of myself, but of others. And I was super grateful to have found it when I did, which was when I had broken up with that first boyfriend.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then you dated the other guy all while you were working at Lululemon.
Yes.
Can you talk about this leadership? Like what were the differences in this leadership that, made it stand out versus everything you'd experienced before? I'm guessing you had to deal with a lot of leadership type of things with coaches and stuff growing up playing sports.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest difference, or not even the biggest difference, but the thing that they focused on a lot was leading yourself. And in order to lead others, you need to be personally responsible, and really great at leading yourself, which was exactly what I needed in that moment is some sort of accountability to make sure that I was doing the best that I could do for myself, that I was being the best possible version of me. And I was being responsible and understanding. And that's why when I look back on these things that happened with volleyball, like with my first coach who told me I was fat and slow, it's like, well, there's a part of her that wasn't wrong. I was out of shape and I wasn't like the most athletic, but what was I doing during training? Was I giving it my all or was I being a baby? And I think a lot of the time I was being a baby, honestly.
Okay.
So that sort of thing is just like, where can I be responsible? Where am I responsible in all situations of life? And a couple of my friends from Lululemon and we always joke and we say, fuck Lululemon. It would be so much easier to just blame somebody else for this right now. But I know I have fault in whatever the situation is. I'm just like, I messed up here. And it's just that personal responsibility was huge for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to learn. Yeah. What and this happened like also in your 20s, like being able to learn this.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah. It's funny to say because it went hand in hand on when I was dating this guy that was terrible for me. But it also was the reason I ended up breaking up with him. So I'm like learning these things as
let's
I
go,
go.
Lulu.
I'm like learning these things about myself and the things that I want out of life while I'm having this relationship. And it was really great for me for a long time.
That's great. So what did you do with them?
I started out as so any like sales associate that was like is just working in this store. They're called an educator. So I started as an educator and then worked my way up to assistant manager when I moved out to Denver.
Okay, nice. And
Yeah,
did you like that leadership position? Did you feel like you were good at that?
I did. I think it's funny looking back now because I drank the Kool-Aid so hard for a long time, the Lululemon Kool-Aid. Like, everybody should be taking this as seriously as I am. Oh my gosh, like this is so important. Like stuff that's like not important, I thought was so like live or die, like so stupid. But at the end of my time there, I think I really made a big shift and focused more on the people that were there working versus everything being so black and white. Like it has to be done this way or it's done wrong. And that's something in my life that struggle isn't the right word, but I'm very checklisty. I love things to be black and white and very like, okay, bullet point. I can check this off my list. I love that. And I like for things to be done a certain way. I'm very particular. So I like that. And at the end of my time there, it was right during COVID. So COVID happened, we got shut down. And instead of being more about the people, which is what I really loved about Lululemon for such a long time and what kept me in retail when I could have been off doing real estate, which I didn't know yet, but making a lot more money
Hmm.
was it was so people focused, not only on me, but the people that were around me. So when COVID happened, it kind of shifted and it was more about the numbers. Like, well, why isn't your conversion higher? Why aren't you making your sales goal? Why aren't this? And it just became ridiculous. And I see all these people around me who are dealing with their family being sick or dealing with the effects of COVID. And I just didn't care anymore about Lululemon. I cared about more about the people. And so I don't know, some of my old employees might differ, but that's how I felt. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't care anymore.
I mean, that was your reality, regardless of like what was happening or, that was what you felt and how you felt. Um, so you said that you didn't know about real estate yet while you were still you were feeling this way. So when did you start being a realtor then?
So COVID was like a great time for me
Hmm.
personally.
Same.
Bryce and I moved in together.
Oh,
So
hold on, we have a new
did I start?
character.
Oh yeah.
We gotta
New
backtrack. So
character. Yeah.
you broke up because of Lululemon with the ex who was the red flag.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Wiener.
And then I think at this point, because you did tell me a little bit about like your wish list before meeting Bryce. So what led to this wish list?
So broke up with that Dingleberry and transferred to Lululemon in Cherry Creek. Um, and was single for like 2 years. Tried dating, tried getting on the apps and stuff like that, but it was just, you know how the apps can be like terrible. So would get on, delete it, go on a couple dates, hate it, get really sad. And then I found myself in that second year of being single, going out kind of similar to what I did with that ex-boyfriend, the California one, doing things that weren't authentic to me. So I'll speed it up a little bit. I went on a date, I think like 2 or 3 weeks before I met Bryce. And this guy, he was cute. He was okay, whatever. But I really wanted him to like me. I really, really wanted him to like me because I was like, oh, he could be good. Like I could date him. He could be fine. And what did we do on our first date? We went and got a drink. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I can go get a beer, whatever. So I had a beer and then we go on a second date and we go down in Rhino and I think we met at like a pizza place and we get a pizza and I I can't even think, a jug of beer? What would it even be called? A
Picture?
pitcher.
A picture? Okay, yeah. I was like,
A pitcher. We get a pitcher of beer and get super drunk. And I was just like, oh my gosh, here I am again. But anyways, so we get drunk, have fun, whatever. I go home. Next day, I text him and I say something about I said something about like a band we had talked about.
yeah,
And then he never responded. And I was just like, okay, weird, because we had a really good time together.
yeah.
And then he just straight up ghosted me. So
I hate this ghost culture. Like, tell me you're not interested. Like, I'm a big girl. It'll hurt my feelings, but I would rather that.
yeah, it's so much better. I'd be like, okay, cool. I'm gonna shut that off and move on. Like it's okay. It's not like I thought we were gonna get married or anything.
So like, as
So
I'm hearing your story, I'm noticing that like you have a preference for not drinking. Is there a reason, or is it just like you like is it that you don't like how you feel or you don't like the flavor? What is it?
I think there's a lot of different reasons. The main one being the main two, really. It doesn't align with my goals for myself and or just the things that I find very important, like my values of being healthy and being fit. It just didn't align with that at all. It wasn't adding any value to my health, to my fitness, to anything. So it just felt very inauthentic. And then the second one was, did I have a good time when I drink alcohol? Absolutely. Who doesn't, right? But the self-loathing and the embarrassment that I felt the next day was huge. I hated myself. I hated the things that I did. I hated the things that I said. I just felt gross and I didn't want to feel that way anymore. Um, so I went like on and off of like I would do it and I would have fun and I would go out, but the next day, just the anxiety and like I said, like the self-loathing that I felt, it just became too much.
Yeah, I had a coworker who said that she would have too much of a good time while drinking, that it would get to the point of embarrassment, and she would have to deal with all of those emotions the next day. So she just started, going for a sober lifestyle, not because she's, an alcoholic, but because she felt like this wasn't the life and the image that she wanted to portray of herself. So that's and I was also kind of she was one of those people that was like, I don't have any middle ground. Like I can't be a balanced drinker. I am either not drinking or I'm drinking like way too much. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah. And that was kind of how I felt too, is like, could I have one drink? Yeah. But like, what's the point? Like, I want to get fucked up and like have fun.
yeah.
So that was another thing, is like, if I was drinking, I was drinking. I wasn't just, having a glass of wine and going to bed, because I would still feel like shit. But I don't know. It just was more fun to get drunk and do stupid stuff. But
I completely relate. I have a hard time drinking beverages, period. Like I can't consume a lot of liquid quickly. So if I'm ever drinking, now I like the flavor of beer, but before that started, if I was drinking, I was drinking with the point of getting really drunk. So I was either mad or sad, and my solution was let me forget via alcohol. And so I would have to like down these disgusting drinks like quickly so that it could have an effect. Otherwise, like I babysit shots of tequila. Like to this day, I cannot consume an entire shot. So I can't get drunk because I take too long to drink. And the same thing happens. Like the next day, regardless of if you got the effects of being drunk or not, you wake up dehydrated, your body feels groggy. So now I'm just like, if I'm not having fun, what's the point? It's just such a turn off.
yeah, totally. And another thing that was really big for me was I wanted to feel present in my life. And I felt like anytime I would get so drunk that I blacked out, it's like, why did I pay $100 to go see a concert and get blackout drunk and I don't even remember it now? Like, that's not fun to me. And I think it's stupid. So it just wasn't for me.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
why like you just had this sentiment towards like alcohol is not my thing. I would rather not have it around.
Yeah.
So you said
Yeah.
you went on this date with this guy who ghosted you. And then what happened from there?
So over like the next couple weeks, I was thinking about it and I was like, I'm done. This was like the point where I stopped drinking alcohol for good. I was like, I'm done. Like, I am going on dates with people and I want them to like me, and I'm doing things to try and get them to like me. So I'm drinking alcohol. I'm like not being myself, whatever. And so I was like, I'm done with that. If I'm going on the apps, I'm putting my settings that I don't do drugs, I don't drink alcohol. I want somebody this tall, this. And I remember very distinctly, I had I went for a walk with two of my friends around Wash Park, and I described this perfect guy. I was like, he's 6'6" or taller. He likes the same kind of weird music that I like. He's athletic.
I think it's important to note that you are very tall.
I am very tall. I played volleyball. I'm 6'2", so I was
Yeah.
like, he needs to be 6'6", because before my cutoff was like 6'4", and when you put it at 6'4", and I know girls that aren't as tall as me have experienced this too, is like the guys always round up. They're like, I'm 6'3", and I'm like, are you 6'3" or are you 6 foot? And you just like to say that you're 6'3". I'm like, you're not actually. So I had to literally raise my standards.
Okay. So that they would,
Yeah.
yeah, so that they would oblige.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
six
I
feet
go
or taller.
through, and I remember during this conversation, I'm like, he could even be in recovery because he doesn't drink. I want him to be sober. And I would even date somebody that's in recovery because that's how much I don't want to drink alcohol anymore. So I have this conversation with my friends. And like I said, I was still on the app. So I got back on the apps, but I had put in my preferences. Like I said, don't drink, don't do alcohol. At the time, I didn't want kids. So I'm on there one day and I'm swiping and I see my husband, my future husband, what's the word?
Subtle foreshadowing, not so subtle.
And that's, I see his profile. I open it up. I'm like, okay, he's cute. He played football. He had a picture of him playing football. He's from Denver. He his tagline in Bumble was, I'm just here to disappoint. And I was like, that's a weird thing to put in there, but he liked some of the same music that I liked. So I was like, okay, he's good. And he's tall. He's 6'6" is what he has in his profile. So I'm like, cool. We start talking and we set up a date for I don't know, a couple days later or whatever. And we're texting that morning. He's like, hey, I'm running late. I have to take a drug test. So we might have to reschedule. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I had planned something at noon so that I had something to do after. I had a time to be done with this date. And I was like, I don't know. I have a good feeling about this guy, even though he just told me he has to take a drug test. And so I canceled my thing. I was like, cool, let's just push it back. We'll meet at noon instead of whatever time we had said. And he's like, okay, cool. And so we go and we meet at this place. It's called Kaladi. Have you ever been to Kaladi?
No.
It's on Evans, over by DU. So we meet over there. And I walk in and I see him and I'm like, okay, like he's got really great energy. I really like him. And I should probably back up a little bit because I said he's from Denver and he went to a high school around here that one of my good friends had gone to. So I said, hey, do you know this guy Bryce? And she goes, Kayla, run.
Oh my God.
Literally says that to me. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not really getting like run
Yeah, I'm
vibes
not
from
getting
this guy.
I'm gonna check it out myself.
I'm getting 0% runaway vibes. So I go on the date. We have a great time. We set up another time to hang out. And I think we start talking like every day after that. And so I call my friend and I was like, there's no run vibes still. Like there's no red flags. There's nothing that I'm seeing that I'm like super concerned or whatever. And she's like, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that. Whatever. Super supportive. And so from there, we just start going on a date like every couple of days and things happen. I tried to make things go slow because what I noticed with my last relationship was I really rushed into it. And I wanted to make sure that I was being myself throughout this whole thing. I wasn't doing things to make him like me. And I was also saying things where I was like, well, he might not like this thing about me, but I'm going to say it anyways. And I would do it. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. Whatever. I don't care about that. Whatever it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's such a
So
breath of fresh air.
it was amazing. And he was super honest with me. And we can talk more about this, but he had a past, which was why my friend told me to run. He was a drug addict for several years after or during and after playing college football. And he ended up in prison for 11 months and just had like a huge past and things that someone probably wasn't super proud to share,
Mhm.
but he was super honest with me. And I was just always like, okay, cool. I can tell that's not who you are anymore. And it's crazy to think about you doing some of these things that you're telling me, but I'm not concerned. There still has never been a red flag in our relationship, and we're married now. So
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
so like this wish list, like even someone who's in recovery, like it just comes to
Mhm.
pass. And how
Yeah.
long, so from whenever you guys met to when you became official, how long did that take?
I wanted it to take longer. But we started talking or like dating, and I think in September, and we count like October is when we started like officially dating. So it
Okay.
wasn't long. Yeah. It was
But it
not
felt
very
right.
long.
But
It
it
felt
felt
right.
right. And I guess you guys had like really open communication and everything.
Yeah.
And what year was this?
This is 2019. So right. The
Right
reason I
before
got back
COVID.
into that, yeah, is right
Okay.
before COVID, because COVID was a great time for me
Yeah.
because Bryce and I in together. So started dating in October and then moved in together in April. So we were spending every waking moment together, which
Aw.
I know for a lot of people ended a lot of relationships. For us, it was amazing. We got to spend all of our time together. And one of the things I love about Bryce is he's always been an entrepreneur since I've known him. He's never worked for somebody, he's always worked for himself, whatever that job may be. And so seeing him making money, not for somebody else, but for himself, and not having to go punch a clock, that was very intriguing to me. And I was jealous of him all the time. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the store from this time to this time and I have to go deal with stupid people. I'm making $27 an hour. Like, this is lame. So I think the gym had like just opened up. What?
Can I interrupt you really quick? So, okay, I grew up in Texas, and so all through college, like Denver is the first place that I moved outside of Texas, and I was making like 750 an hour, and I was getting paid extra, right? So I get here to Denver, and I learned that the minimum wage is $18 an hour. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that's bank, right? So I love that because you're surrounded by an entrepreneur, like, because you're exposed to this, 27 feels like pennies. And it's not that it is, and I'm sure you are grateful for it, but um upping your circle helps you strive for more, strive for better, and that's just I love that about like I guess the human nature. It's something as easy as having access or being exposed to a different lifestyle that makes you be like, oh, I want so much more. Otherwise, you're just complacent because like you're good according to what you know.
Yeah.
So
And I had no idea that life could be like that. I was just like, I was raised by parents who had a traditional view of like, you get a job, you work really hard at it, you raise it up in the ranks. And that's exactly what I was doing. But I didn't realize that there was another option that I could be good at. I think it was scary for me too. Um, so yeah. And then I think that, oh, I was coming back to this was, I was looking for a new podcast. I was like, I want to learn something or whatever. It popped up on my page and I found Bigger Pockets. And I start listening to one of the older episodes. I think I went back to like the first one, or I don't know what I did, but I listened to this episode and I was like, real estate. Real estate could be interesting. So I had some experience on the loan side of things previously. I worked for a loan officer for maybe like a year, maybe a couple months, I forget. But I had some experience with it and I was like, okay, I know that side of things. That's interesting to me. But being a real estate agent, being a real estate investor, like that's really intriguing. So
mhm.
I started learning about real estate investing and eventually was like, I'm just going to get my license so that I can do all of our own deals. Like, we're going to be successful real estate investors right off the bat, not knowing that you need a lot of money to like invest in real estate if you wanted, you know.
Okay, so neither of y'all had any experience with investing at that point yet. Okay. So what were his business ventures so far?
He had a nutrition coaching business, and he was during COVID. One of our he like met these two brothers who had a pizza place that had closed down, and they wanted to reopen it through something called Cloud Kitchen. And so they had been working on that, which they got really like to the point where they were ready to open, but something happened with Cloud Kitchen that ended up not working out. So that ended. And then he did a couple other things I honestly don't even remember, but I was just like, oh my gosh.
Okay, so like you start learning about real estate and then you're like, the reason that I'm going to go into this is so that we can invest together. Like we're going to be investors and we're going to kick ass.
Yes, exactly. And I was like, fuck working for someone else. This is way cooler. Like, let's invest in real estate. It might take a couple years, but like, let's do that. And so while I'm working on getting my license, I'm like, I could just do this. This is basically my job right now, which is educating people. It's providing a great customer service, doing all of these things, all of these skills I already had. I already had all of them. I just needed to learn how to implement it to real estate. So I was like, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do real estate. So this was in 2021. I got my license, I think in April or May. And then I quit my job in June and I went full bore.
Oh my gosh, that's so quick. So did you have any experience already before you like jumped?
No, no. And I know we've talked about the team that I joined uh in
Right.
some different ways. I joined a team and it was actually really great for me in the beginning because they gave me leads and they were working with house hackers, real estate investors, the type of people that I wanted to work with, which was great. So that got me started. And I was there for 9 months and then I left and went and was a solo agent.
Can I ask you why you were interested in that specific demographic of clients?
Yeah, I think it was because, because my husband and I purchased a house and became real estate investors. And so I was like, I
Oh,
know about real estate.
congratulations. How long did it take you after you got your license to get your first property? Because, okay, I also remember a little bit ago you mentioned that, surprise, surprise, turns out you need capital. So like, did you guys immediately go on a like savings plan or did you look for outside investors? How did that work?
So I was still working at Lululemon when we bought our first house. So I think I got my license in May, but we purchased our home in April. So after we closed, I did all the stuff to get my license. I was like, okay, I need to get my license like immediately, which I could have just bought our represented us for our own purchase, but we needed to get a house ASAP. So initially we had thought we would invest in just a traditional house hack, buy a house, live there for X amount of years, and then turn around, rent it out, and go buy another one. That's the traditional house hacking model. But my husband was talking to a friend who at the time was living in a sober living. And that spurred the idea of, oh my gosh, I could do this for my husband. He's like, we could do sober living. Like I should do that. I can do this way better than what he's experiencing. So our shift initially, those two were going to invest in a house together,
Okay.
but that friend ended up not being ready to buy a house. He just needed to focus on his recovery at that time.
Just to make sure,
And
so your
so,
first property was an investment property and was it a single family home?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we bought the first house together um, with the intent of turning it into a sober living home. So we moved in April and moved into the basement, got everything set up. We were going to live in the basement and turn the upstairs into a sober living home.
Mhm.
So moved in April. By June, we had our first client.
I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could house hack with something like sober living. Or
Yeah,
like even I wonder if you could do it with
you,
like assisted living for like
I
seniors and
think you
stuff.
could. Yeah, I think you could. It's just what are you comfortable with?
Yeah.
And are you are you operating the sober living or the assisted living or whatever it is, or are you just providing the home? It doesn't come with, it's not easy to do. Like
Okay.
it is still, it's a very, very demanding business to be in because you're dealing with people who are in recovery and maybe are relapsing or um, they just have a ton of issues that they're dealing with and they're trying to get back on their feet. So it's a lot. It's not something I ever advise people to take lightly if
Yeah.
it's something that they're interested in
Yeah.
getting into.
Okay.
Maybe find an operator, or if you want to do the business yourself, just like really prepare yourself and know what you're getting into
Yeah.
because it is very demanding.
Wow.
So
Okay. So that's and did you guys manage to do that? Like separate the spaces and oh yeah, you said you got your first tenant, right? Within a few months?
yeah, within 2 months, or we moved in April, got our first client in June.
Okay. Were you
And
guys operating or did you guys partner with an operator?
we were operating. So my husband owns and operates Elevate Recovery Homes in Denver, but this was just our first foray into it.
4A.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
Forray.
yeah, I think so. I think that's how you say
Okay,
it.
I didn't know if you meant like 4A. And I was like,
Oh
is
no,
that
no.
a kind of property? Like
First venture into sober living.
Okay.
So we, the basement, we actually didn't separate the space because we knew eventually we'd be moving out of that property.
Okay.
So we just were in the basement. People would yell from the top of the stairs for my husband all the time. It was tense, is what I'll say, is because we didn't have our own space really. Like we did, but there was people there all the time.
Yeah.
So we only lived there for 6 months. And then we moved out into a property that was set up like a triplex. And one of the units was a studio. So my husband and I, or my now husband, we moved into a studio while the other side of the house was the sober living. So we were a little bit further removed, but basically just by like a wall. Like we had
Yeah.
our own separate space.
Okay.
Um,
So y'all were still dating, like y'all were just only in a relationship, not married yet when this was happening. So
yeah,
that's a big commitment on your end too, because you're not familiar with, recovering addicts and everything, I guess.
yeah,
And you're just like, yeah, full send, let's go, let's do it.
yeah. That's when you know, you know. So I knew this was a long term thing for me. And while I didn't know if marriage was on or off the table, I knew we'd be together forever. So I wasn't scared.
That's so cute. I love that.
Yeah. It's funny too, because Bryce actually, the weekend that he proposed to me, I had like screenshotted some rings and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I should probably show these to him. And then he said something, or we had a conversation, and I deleted all those screenshots. I was like, oh, well, we're not going to get married, and that's fine. Like, I'm okay with that. And so I deleted all of these screenshots off of my phone. And then like 2 days later, he proposed to me.
Okay, so it was truly a surprise because then like there's some girls who can like they can kind of feel it. So that's
I
nice.
had no idea. Yeah, I had no clue.
How did he propose?
So he and I, while all of this was going on, one of the ways that we got out of the house was we would train for our Ironman, which is where he proposed. So we did an Ironman, and at the very end, he proposed to me.
I love that. Okay, so like he's sober, he's the fit kind of guy you're looking for, who's helping you grow, helping you like be more ambitious. This is so wonderful. I like that. So, in the first house, you guys were there for 6 months. And how many tenants did you have by the time you moved out?
So while we were still living there, upstairs we had 7 people living in the top floor. So the thing with sober living or assisted living is you always have at least one roommate. So we had 3 bedrooms upstairs, one with 3, and then 2 with 2.
Oh my, okay. And how do these recovering addicts pay for this?
Out of pocket, or there's a scholarship program, which I don't know exactly how it works or where they get the money from. But I know there is some sort of program out there that awards scholarships for people in sober living.
Okay, but usually by the time they get to this point, they have a job now and they're just, like they're further into their recovery than like week
Yeah.
1.
Yeah. I believe they could be coming from a treatment center. They could be coming from home. They just need some more support, or maybe they've relapsed, but they didn't go to treatment. but they have to have a job within 30 days. So however they pay to get in, it could be like a family member, it could be cash they have saved, whatever, but they have to have a job within 30 days. And the really incredible thing about Bryce's program is that they have free workouts, because that's a really important thing for Bryce, and something that was really huge for him in his recovery was exercise. They have workouts, they have career, what's the word?
Like coaching, mentoring?
Yeah, career coaching, mentoring, all sorts of things to make sure that these people have the tools and resources to get up and running on their own.
That's incredible. Okay, and this is what is it called again? Elevate Recovery?
Elevate recovery homes.
Elevate Recovery Homes. And so this comes with your home. Like it's a part of your housing, all of these services. Or is it a separate service
Yes.
and then he also has housing?
So all of the houses that my husband and I own are used by Sober Living, by Elevate Recovery Homes.
Okay.
So that's all of our real estate is Sober Living.
How do you guys as investors deal with the risk associated with perhaps they're not going to hold down a job or, relapse or, all of that? How do you guys mitigate that?
So that, I mean, one, have a really good insurance policy for your home. Um, and then business insurance as well. And as far as like the risk is, I can't speak to that as much. So you may want to take this part out, because I don't know that side of the business as much anymore.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, no,
changed
that's
so
fine.
much. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
'cause I don't know, as someone who's not involved in that industry, you hear about this and you're thinking like this is a risky tenant, right? They could
Mhm.
at any
Yeah.
moment, not that you want that or that they're striving for that, but I don't know, just again, as an outsider, this is what comes to mind. So
Yeah. I
perhaps it's
guess what I
different.
can say is that they have to pay to come. They can't come for free. So they have to pay, and they have to pay 30 days up front. After that, I believe they can switch to weekly.
Oh,
But I think the preference is 30 days. And I don't know if they get a discount or not, but
so is it
either
kind of
way.
like an open door thing instead of having like a long-term tenant?
Yeah. It's rent by the bed, essentially.
Okay. Okay, so kind of
Yeah.
like dorm. All right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and then they also have, like a relapse fee. Like if somebody relapses and they wanna come back to the program, they have to pay $250 or whatever it is. So it's like if you relapse, if you use drugs in the home, it's case by case, but if you use drugs in the home, you're kicked out.
yeah. Okay. So I like that he also provides like the coaching and as like fitness as well as business. Is there something else that, really helps them? Like maybe the community aspect? Is there
Totally.
anyone kind of like managing that specific home who gets to like organize events and all of that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So each house has a house manager, which is somebody who's in the program. They're making sure that drug tests are taken, that chores are getting done. They're hosting house meetings once a week, just making sure that the house and the community is taken care of and that the rules are being followed, essentially. And then on top of that, above that, I guess, there's like a program manager who coordinates events, which they do like paintball. They'll go do the incline down in Colorado Springs. Lots of fun stuff like that to create that community environment so that they're out doing things and living life and having fun. It's not just about their recovery all the time. Um, and yeah, I forget what
It
else I
sounds
was
like
going to
a
say.
great program. And like
Yeah,
with having that person who's in the home, like the house manager, it sounds like it's a great way to take care of the asset, on the investor side.
totally. And that's what I always tell people is anybody considering renting to a sober living operator, it's like, ooh, there's going to be so many people in my house. Yes, but they are required to do chores. They are required to do yard work. There's so many things that come along with that, because it's teaching them those skills to be personally responsible for themselves and for their space. So I would say that they're pretty well taken care of. And I think we do have a professional cleaner come like once a month as well. And then as far as like maintenance things is like we get that there's a lot of wear and tear happening on the appliances and all of that. So we get extra fridges. They either go in the kitchen or the garage or wherever they may be. And we're also like maintaining those things. So that's part of their program fee. Part of that goes towards the maintenance of the property.
No, this is great. I had one question about this. Do you guys only manage your own properties, or is this also like if an investor has a home and they want to hire elevation homes or elevation recovery homes, can you guys do the operations in this
Mhm.
house? Okay.
Yeah. So we own or have ownership in 4 single family homes.
Okay.
And then on top of that, I don't know the number now, but they're renting several properties from just investors where they pay the rent and then elevate recovery homes just operates out of that house.
I love this. And does like the extra things, like the extra fridges and the maintenance and all of that, is that under the homeowner, the homeowner financial responsibility, or is that a part of the service that Elevation Recovery Homes offers?
It depends on what it is. So let's say there's like a break in the sewer line, that's something that's going to fall on the homeowner.
Okay.
If it's a leaky fridge, that's probably something that they would take care of.
Okay.
So I think it's up to a dollar amount, and they're not unreasonable. They're taking care of these properties.
Yeah, no, this sounds like a great way to make sure that you're like, I don't know, at least cash flowing, depending on, what your thing is. If it's an older property that you're like trying to just get hands off, because it sounds like they're really taken care of. If everyone's doing their chores and there's monthly cleaning and the yard is being taken care of, it sounds like a
Yeah.
dream for an investor, I think.
Yeah.
I like
I'd say
that.
so.
Okay. So you had a baby not too long ago. You were pregnant when
Had
we
a
met.
baby.
And I
I
didn't know
was,
you
yeah.
were pregnant when we met because you had, I think, a hoodie on. And so I
I
saw
did
you like
that to a
one
couple
week later.
clients.
I'm sorry?
I said I did that to a couple clients.
Yeah, I see you like one week later, and I'm like, oh my God, you are very, very pregnant.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
like
had it in my I was concerned, and luckily I was very pregnant like during the winter months, so I got pregnant in May, and so I started showing like um I don't know, I feel like I started like really showing like November, December, January. And I was concerned that I was going to lose business because if people saw that I was pregnant, they're like, "Oh, she's probably going to have a baby. Like she won't want to work with me, or she won't be available for me." So I was like a little nervous about it. So I would wear like the big hoodie and the big jacket, and then once I was like, "Okay, yeah, so I'm pregnant," then I would do the okay, yeah, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll make sure you're taken care of. I will not leave you.
Yeah. No, and I've gotten to meet Birdie and she's wonderful. Also, talk about her name, like picking her name and why and all of that.
So we had a list of names and none that we really liked. Like some were like, we're like, oh yeah, that's good, that's good. Nothing we were in love with. And then I forget where I found it, but I brought these 2 names to Bryce. And the first one was Goldie, and the second one was Birdie. And as soon as I said Birdie, he was like, "Oh, Birdie, it's Birdie." And I was like, "Yeah, it's Birdie."
Yeah.
And so that was just her name ever since. I was just like, perfect. But it's funny because our parents, we like to mess with them a lot. We would be like, yeah, we're gonna name her Ingrid or whatever, something silly. And when we were telling them, like, okay, yeah, well, we have decided on a name. Her name is Birdie. They were like, ha, no. And I was like, yeah, that's really it. And they're like, oh,
They're like,
yeah.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember we went to like see a house and I think the neighbors had chickens. And you're like, ah, I
Uh-huh.
love chickens. And you showed me your
I love,
tattoo.
yeah,
That's
I love
hilarious.
chickens. Yeah.
So how is it now? Like you were hiding your pregnancy during, that time. And what's it like to be a mom? And how long did it take you to get back to work? Are you enjoying it? What are the struggles? What are the wins? Like, talk a little bit about that experience.
I'd say I have found it to be a little bit hard. Still doing real estate, going out for showings, doing that sort of thing, and working it around the time that I get to spend with my daughter. So we have a nanny now, which has been absolutely incredible. She's amazing, and I'm so grateful for her. We have her from noon to 5. So that's like my window where like I know I'm available. I know I can take calls. I know I can do showings, but that's not everybody's availability. So working that out has been a little bit tricky. Last year was still a decent year for me. I sold 7 houses, even though I had a baby, which is not bad. It's not as many as I would have liked, but my priority after having Birdie was making sure that she was taken care of. She was getting the love that she wanted. And then I was being the mom that I wanted to be for her. Um, so as in terms of doing that much business, I was like, I'll do the business that I do and I'll take care of my daughter.
Yeah, I like that. And it's so precious. Like, you don't, I'm not a mom, but I've seen my nieces and nephews, and that is just like such a precious time in their lives, right? Because they're growing so fast and they're learning so many things, and it's pretty incredible. I mean, I was trying to buy a house from you not too long ago, and I thought you were very available. So
Thank you.
so you're doing a great job. That's cool. Do you see yourself staying in this, or do you think you might pivot um to, give more space for momhood? What's that looking like for you?
So that's a great question. And I've actually been thinking about switching to lending.
Yeah, you gave me so many like lending tips. You were like, you should talk to your lender, but I think you could do something like this. And that was one of the things that I loved about. So for anyone who's in Denver and needs to buy a house while she's still a realtor, Kayla is outstanding. Kayla knows what you need before you know what you need. And then she's like 3 to 5 steps ahead of you all the time, talking to everyone and their mom, making sure that the transaction is going to be so smooth. And like, I could not have had a better experience. And I think like you being as proactive and as on it as you are was just relieving, I think, because I was a new investor or a new homeowner altogether.
Yeah.
I happened to
Yeah.
be an investment property. And I think my favorite part of our entire transaction was the day that I called you that I was like, I have a list of things that are unreasonable and I want to talk to you about them. And I was like, I want all of these things. I understand that it's like 700 plus dollars. I don't have that amount of money, but I want them anyway and I have time. And you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's use your time. Like let's make it happen. And yeah, it was just such a great experience. But so lending is less face to face, like interaction. So it would give you more time at home.
Yeah. And less time driving, which for me, I live down in Parker now. So I was living in Inglewood before. Bryce and I have moved so much, it's ridiculous, but we live in Parker now, which is a great spot for us and where we're at in our life. But it's tough when you're serving all of the Denver metro area, being gone for 2, 3 hours, maybe even 4 hours, doing showings, which I'm happy to do, but there's not a lot of, um, I'm not producing that much. I'm not being that productive while I'm gone, while I'm away. And my time is so precious now
Yeah.
that I think I would be more productive and more um, able to provide a service for people or provide more service to more people by being able to stay home and work.
Yeah.
And it
And
just
like,
looks a little I still get to serve people and help people find a home, but in a different capacity. And stay
and
tuned.
it's an industry you're already familiar with anyway, too. Um, would you keep your license and like do that just like in case you have something worthwhile come up?
Yeah, I think that's the plan right now is to keep my license, work on getting lending going. And then whenever it's time to turn that off, I'll turn that off and maybe I'll keep it and just do, one-offs here and there. It just depends on how busy I am, if it's really worth it or not. And I will, of course, always make sure that anybody that comes to me for real estate, whether it's lending or as a real estate agent, if I'm not able to do it, that I make sure that they're set up with somebody that can, and will do a really great job for them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I like it. I'm excited for you. I think this is going to be great. And I like every time I've seen Birdie, which I've been a few times, she's just such a perfect baby. She's
Much.
like so
It's so funny.
quiet and just smiley.
She's so smiley, so happy. And it's funny because when I'm with her, I love spending all my time with her. But there's a point where you're like, okay, I really want you to go down for your nap now. So I put her down for her nap, and then I sit on the couch and I look at photos of her while she's napping.
Oh, I love that. That's so good.
It's nonstop.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Kayla. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on and sharing your story. I'm sure it'll be a fun thing to hear for a lot of people. And I like
I
what you
hope
guys are
so.
doing in the sober living space. I love your sobriety story. Like this is exciting. Thanks for letting
Thank
us
you.
know.
Yeah. And I'm happy if anybody wants to chat more about anything they heard, I'd be happy to talk to them. So,
Where can they reach you? Like, what are the platforms where you would like to be reached?
email is probably the best right now. I'm taking a little bit of a break from social media. So email, you can always connect me with them via text, whatever.
Okay, what's your email? If you don't mind
It's
spelling it out.
Yeah, it's Kayla at apollogroup.com. So it's APOLLO group, GROUP.com.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's KAYLA.
It'll be in the show notes anyway. You'll have her Instagram and her email and stuff. So just in case someone's listening in their car, they could at least, think about it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
cool.
Well, have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.